Blessings, beautiful people. Welcome and thank you for joining me on the Yoga for Empaths podcast. My name is Tara Kaur and I'm a Kundalini yoga teacher, energy therapist, and also I do mentorship programs for energy management and for yoga teachers and therapists. So, welcome to this podcast. If you are completely new here, I did do an introduction last week about what this podcast was going to be about, but I'm super excited to be doing this because each week what we're going to do is for the next 30 to 45 minutes we will explore different areas of what it is like to be an empath and how to use this natural sensitivity to our advantage, because there's so many beautiful ways in which we can channel this energy. And through sharing my experiences on a personal level, also sharing my experiences with clients and the people I know, maybe you can also reflect in your own life if any of these things apply to you, and hopefully some of the tips will inspire you to use them in your daily life so you can work with that energy. You can channel that energy into different areas of your life. So in this podcast, I always invite people to just kick their shoes off, to get a herbal tea, and to get a pen and paper, because I do want to fill this space with as many tips as possible. So I will try also to link these below in the description box and YouTube videos. So there will be some reference to some of these tips, but for your own reflection work, I think having a pen and paper is a good idea. So feel free to join me and hold space for yourself as we dive into this topic. And this week, we're really going to start this podcast series. Last week was more of an introduction. This week is when we start developing each topic and just going with the flow. I like to go with the flow when I'm doing these podcasts and sharing from a place where I'm not planning too much, but I am sharing my thoughts in a much more flowy way, not too planned. And this podcast will be about awareness and self-love. So this being the week of Valentine's Day, the energy is in the air already, even though really every day is an opportunity for love. But this week especially, the focus is about self-love and love for others and our connections. So I thought this was a beautiful way to begin the podcast series by talking about awareness and self-love, and really understanding that the two are very linked together. The more we have awareness of ourselves as an individual and what makes us feel good and what connects us to our heart, the more we can share that with the world around us, and the more we can also explore through love, through our self-love and through others, and sharing that love with other people. And before we begin diving into this topic, I want to actually start by doing a very quick exercise together. So if you can, and if you're in a place where you're alone or in a quiet space, that's great. If you're not and you're listening to this podcast, don't worry about it. Just tune into the words. You can keep your eyes open and continue doing your activities if you need to, but just be mindful of the words and the vibrations of this exercise, because it's going to be a little bit of an awareness exercise through our body, through our breath, and just tuning into ourselves. So if you can, find a comfortable space or continue doing what you're doing on a slower pace, a much more slower pace if you can. And I want you to take this time to close your eyes. Again, if you can't, don't worry about it. And as you're closing your eyes, I want you to take your inner gaze and your focus to the point between your eyebrows. So focusing your inner gaze towards this point, and this is the point of our third eye, the intuition, essentially, in being really in tune with ourselves, listening to our inner guidance. And as you're getting comfortable and connecting with this point between your eyebrows, I want you to start slowly connecting with your breath. And just notice the pattern of your breath. Is it feeling shallow or light? Is it feeling heavy? Just bring awareness to your breathing pattern. And slowly begin to consciously breathe in much more deeply. So inhaling deeply, engaging your belly as you inhale, filling your belly up, expanding it out like a balloon, and exhaling and feeling that ball of energy in your belly contracting inwards. So inhaling to energize your belly and expand, exhaling to release. Just be in a pace and a place that feels right for you. Go at your own pace. And continue breathing deeply, and I want you to take the next focus towards your feet and the surface underneath you. So wherever you are right now, whether you're standing, sitting, feel the surface underneath you and feel that connection to the ground through your feet. Slowly begin to scan your body from your feet, gently going upwards to each part of your body, so consciously going towards your calves and your knees, and noticing if you're holding any tension around this area of your body. And then taking that awareness and focus upwards towards your thighs and your hips. Again, just bringing any awareness that you have around this area to places that hold tension. And as you encounter these places of tension, allow yourself to release. Really consciously allow that part of your body to release. You can use your breath to exhale and let it go. Slowly going upwards towards your belly and your hips and your lower chest. Again, just noticing if you're holding on to any tension and allowing it to be released. And then taking it upwards towards your upper chest, your shoulders, your neck, releasing any tension around this area. And your arms, feeling your arms becoming light. Taking that focus up towards your head, around your face, feeling all the muscles around your face relaxing. Feeling your eyes becoming super soft. And then taking that focus right back into your heart. So as you're breathing deeply, focusing in your heart space, and allow any layers around your heart space to melt away. And as they're melting away, allow your heart to be open and set an intention. Feel free to set an intention for this podcast or for today or the week ahead. If you don't have anything specific, you can just focus on being open to whatever comes your way, whatever inspires you today. And when you're ready, slowly open your eyes and just take note in your mind, or you can write it down, if there were any areas of your body that was holding tension. And as you can see, just this simple act of bringing your focus towards your body, it makes a huge difference, because your body stores a lot of energy in different ways. You know, everyone is unique in how they work with their body, how they store energy. Especially as empaths, we collect a lot of this energy from our environment and store it in our body. So just this simple exercise is something that you can do any time of the day, just to tune into your body on a physical level and also into your heart space, and bring it back to self-love. Bring it back to the heart space and continue your day through the heart space and through a more relaxed body where you consciously allowed yourself to release. So if you can do this regularly, it's a beautiful practice. And I purposely wanted to start with this practice to show you how simple it is just to bring awareness. Awareness is one of the key foundations to self-love. It's so important to develop our awareness in our daily lives. The more aware we are of what's going on in our inner world, in our body, through our senses, and through our energy exchanges, the more we can make choices in our life that are good for us and good for our journey and good for others as well. Most of us, many of us, go through our daily lives with routines and habits, and we really have to ask ourselves, are we doing these routines and habits from a place of awareness and self-love, or are we just doing it for the sake of doing it? And really, we all have the choice. Most of us have those little choices in how we can change the dynamics. Maybe we can't necessarily change the whole situation immediately, but we do have the opportunity to change the dynamics of how we interact our energy with the environment and the choices that we make. So even if we are doing a job, for example, that we don't like, we have the opportunity to switch the way our energy works when we move into that space that we don't like or we find challenging. And the way we interact with our energy through awareness can change. Or the way our body reacts to that situation that we don't necessarily like can also change. For example, this simple body scan exercise. You can do it regularly when you are in places or doing things that you don't necessarily or you can't necessarily change at the moment. But it is a tool. It's such an essential tool to bring consciousness and bring awareness to yourself and how you can change that energy interaction. And as empaths, that's one of the most important things, I think, going through our daily life, even if it's challenging, because life happens and we go through different flows in life. Even when things are challenging, if we have those tools in place to make those choices and how we exchange energy with it, then the more we can center ourselves. And the more we take care of ourselves, if we take care of ourselves and recharge our own energy through these tools, the more we have to give to the world. And empaths are very good at giving. I think I mentioned this in the introduction. Empaths are fantastic at giving and being there for other people and being the solid foundations for others. But I notice, and including myself, I have to watch myself sometimes. I notice sometimes we are terrible at giving to ourselves or allowing ourselves to give and recharge our own energy. But it's so important to remember that in order to become more aware of our energy, we also need to recharge our own energy, and just to notice that flow and the difference between not charging your energy and taking a moment to charge your energy, and how much you have to give to others when you do it. It's such a beautiful change. It's such a big change for such a simple thing that you can do. And we're going to explore more tips today in how you can use these tools. So the body scan is the first one that I wanted to share with you. And remember, awareness is not just a physical thing. I know in the body scan, that exercise we did, we were talking about tension through the body. But it also works with our senses and also with our memories. And one of the first things I like to ask empaths in my sessions is, when or what was your first memory that you were a sensitive soul? And I want you to take a moment now to just close your eyes if you want to, or write it down if you want to. Bring awareness to the first time that you were very conscious of the fact that your energy is sensitive. And think about the feedback that you had from other people. and connect with your breath. Allow yourself to connect with your breath and your heart. And as you're being reminded of this memory, ask yourself, was this a positive experience for you? Especially if you were a younger person who was very conscious of being sensitive to your energy. Was the feedback that you were getting from other people, was it positive, or did it make you feel challenged in some way? And again, just take note of what comes up and release any tension that you feel in your body. And when you're ready, bring that focus into your heart space and allow the energy of your heart just to work with this energy and this memory that you had. Feel free to pause this audio at any time if you want to throughout the exercises, because sometimes it takes time. It takes time to work with these exercises and these memories and these visualizations. And when you're ready, bring your focus to where you are right now in your life, right now in this room, and what's around you, and these words in this podcast. And I wanted to say that through the awareness of our earliest memories as an empath, especially as a child, sometimes many of these memories come back from childhood. Unfortunately, I feel like maybe this doesn't apply to you and you're one of the lucky people in this sense, but many empaths, when they were younger, at some point they realized that they were getting negative feedback from other people about their sensitivity. For example, phrases from, family members or people at school, or high school, early memories of people you interact with telling you just to get over things. Oh, don't worry, you'll get over it. Or, oh, you should toughen up. All these different sentences that basically imply you to harden up your energy and to stop being so sensitive. I find that many empaths start with their awareness journey from these first memories of what it was like to be an empath, especially if they were negative and they felt challenging at the time. And through that earliest memory, even if it's really subconscious, it has a direct effect in our later years. Because if we're told, especially in a negative way, and maybe the people weren't saying this from a place of bad intentions, I have to add this, maybe they were saying it from a place of love and misunderstanding your energy. But if you did have those experiences from a young age where you were told to just get over it, to stop being so sensitive, to just move on, let it go, it's okay, why are you feeling this way, all these type of challenging feedbacks. Later on in life, it has the effect of how we connect with our own sensitivities, because we're maybe so used to having a certain feedback loop of other people from our childhood. Our childhood, obviously, it shapes a lot of things in who we are and our lives ahead. And as adults, how we process our energy is also affected. I remember talking to many clients who were very intuitive as a child. They knew they were intuitive. This is a classic sign of being an empath. You're intuitive, you feel things differently, but because of the negative and challenging feedback they got from their family members, they remember that they stopped dreaming. They remember they stopped connecting with the more maybe spiritual aspects of themselves at a later date and a later years ahead. And it was almost like they were returning back to where they were before they had this awareness and this negative or challenging feedback. So it's a relearning process, especially if you haven't been tuning into your sensitive energy for a long time. And this sadly is the case. Of course, as I said, it's not for everyone. Some people continue being really open and have had positive experiences with their energy and their sensitive souls. And that's fantastic. But for those of you who are listening who might have felt it the opposite way and might have had to shut down that energy, this is really an awakening experience. And I feel like now more than ever, we are more aware of what it is to be an empath and a highly sensitive person. And thankfully there's more acceptance, because there's so many beautiful things, so many beautiful gifts that empaths have. Usually they're very creative, they're very intuitive. They also have so many amazing things that they can offer other people. And I'm sure in your own personal life, you know how much energy you give to other people. You know how important your role is in other people's lives, because usually you're the person who people come to when they need authentic connection and advice and a place to share, So having this awareness is, again, just a very important tool, remembering that whatever it is that you experienced in your earliest memories does not define you right now. It might take some time to peel back the layers that we sometimes build, and all adults, I think, we build up layers according to social expectations and all of this sort of thing. Layers tend to build, especially when it comes to protecting our energy. And in later life, especially as we become aware of being empaths, it's about stripping off these layers and becoming aware of who we are, and in the process learning about ourselves and returning back to the heart, because that's what it's all about. It's about connecting back into your heart space. And one of the beautiful tools that I personally love to use is Kundalini Yoga, and I had to mention it because it is the yoga of awareness. And there's so many other tools out there, but this happens to be a source of inspiration for me. And when it comes to awareness, there's another tool that we can use, and it's called the 3 minds. So in Kundalini Yoga, we talk about the negative mind, the positive mind, and the neutral mind. And I'm sure in your daily life, you're very aware of skipping from a negative mindset to a positive mindset, and sometimes being in that space where you're so neutral. And when we're talking about awareness, this is one of the important things to keep in mind as we go through our daily life. Which mind are you connecting to? Ideally, it would be fantastic to connect all the time to the neutral mind, because then we are in a place of being more intuitive. But let me share what each mind contributes, and there's positive and negative to each one. So when we're talking about the negative mind, this is in our second body, and it's known as the protective mind. The key question for the negative mind is, can I determine if there is danger in this situation? And what do I need to consider? So that's one of the key questions if you're noticing that you're in that negative mindset. Again, there are positive things about having being in the negative mind. And when it comes to the positive mind in our third body, this is known as the expansive mind. And the key question for this is, am I open to all possibilities that life offers? And do I let these into my life? So if you're connecting more in a positive mind, that's a reflection. Those are reflection questions that you can have. But the most important, I feel, is to have more of a neutral mind, even though we might be jumping from one mind to the next. Because the neutral mind is known as the meditative mind in the fourth body. And being the meditative mind, we connect deeper to our intuition. We allow ourselves to balance the information that we're receiving, not just on a mind level, but also on an energy level, in how our body is connecting to this energy exchanges. We're able to be more aware in a neutral space. And we're also able to connect deeply with our soul through our intuition, and we're able to evaluate this information by making those choices in our life through a much more neutral space. So the question for this, or reflection question for this, is, do I allow myself to perceive and act upon inner wisdom? So it's about connecting with that inner wisdom, that inner self, that inner guidance that we all have. And intuition is going to play a key part in unwrapping all these layers as you return back to your heart space, your awareness and self-love as an empath. Intuition is such a key, and we will talk about this in the next podcast to come. So this will follow in the future weeks ahead. So as a tool that you can use today, when you finish listening to this podcast, I want you to just bring awareness to how your mind is. Are you more in a negative mindset, more in a positive mindset, or can you return into that neutral mindset? And one of the easiest ways to return back to the neutral mind is through your breath. Connecting back to your breath, connecting back to your heart, and connecting back into your body in the present moment. So just bring awareness today, and you can actually do this as an exercise for the next 7 days until our next podcast. And you can use a journal to write this down. So if you feel like you want to expand this more, feel free to get a journal, write this down, and notice what comes up. Just being observant in your life, watching your life and how you're processing all this energy and information in your way. Are you more in a positive, negative, or neutral mindset? And to add an extra layer to this exercise in this coming week, I also invite you each day to notice if the interactions that you're having with people or places or situations around you, especially on a daily level, if it's a regular interaction, do they feel inspiring, neutral, or draining to your energy? Again, you can write this in your journal. Think about the top 5 things, people, or places that you connect with on a daily level. And each day, just notice if the interaction was inspiring, was it neutral, or was it draining? And also, which minds were you in at the time? Did it make you connect more with your negative mind? Did it make you connect more with your positive mind? Or did you find that that interaction helped you develop your neutral mind? That's a big exercise, I think, to explore. And when you do something for a period of time and you write it down and you just take note, in the long term, you can see if there are any patterns coming up. This is why I'm such a big fan of journaling. If you want to do an exercise, try it for a period of time, 7 days or more, bringing awareness to what you're working on, so you can use this as a tool of awareness, and just noticing if any patterns start to develop in the way you're exchanging your energy. For example, is a certain place always bringing out your negative mind? Or is a certain interaction with a person that you always connect with, are they bringing out your positive mind? And they're inspiring you. When you enter a certain area of your city or your town, how does your energy feel? Are you feeling inspired, neutral, or drained? Ask yourself questions throughout the day. See what comes up. No judgment. Just allow it to come up. Allow your thoughts and your body to speak to you. And when you can, write it down. You can even carry this journal around with you and just make quick notes as you go through your day. And in 1 week, take a look at what came up for you and if there are any patterns at all. And in our next podcast, we're going to dive deeper into daily routines. So taking these tools of awareness and actually using it in our day-to-day life on a practical level. So no matter what kind of lifestyle you have, trying to find ways to actually use positive tips like today's tips in your daily life. So I want to just get the ball rolling by sharing this tip with you, to bring awareness, to write down the different minds and the different energy exchanges that you're having. And next week we'll expand on it more. So I hope these tips have inspired you in some way to use them in your life. I hope they help. And I invite you to try them out this week. Feel free to leave any questions or experiences if you want to share in the comments section below. I will also have a link to this information, so if you haven't written it down, please see the link below, and it will take you to a blog post where I will write down these tips for you so you can have a look at it, especially when it comes to the different minds, because that's a huge topic. I didn't have enough time to cover it today, but there will be a link about the different minds and the positive and the negative attributes of each one, so you can have a look at it there. So plenty of reflection work today, and I thank you so much for taking the time to just tune in and to listen and to connect with your heart. And I wish you a very beautiful week ahead. If you want to catch the next podcast, it will be every Wednesday, 8 p.m. UK time on my YouTube channel. If you subscribe and hit the bell button, then you'll be notified when it's live. And I won't be talking live, but it will be airing live, but I will be in the chat section. So if you had any questions about anything that came up this week or last week, feel free to put it in the chat, and I will try as much as possible to interact with everyone who's tuning in. And if you're listening to this sometime in the far future, feel free to still share. I'm always open, even if it's you're listening to this months ahead. Feel free to share in the comments section how you found these experiences. So thank you again, and I wish you a very beautiful week. I will see you next week on Wednesday. Take care of yourselves. Sat Nam.